MyFantasySportsTalk.com.
Hello again. It's your favorite boys from MyFantasySportsTalk.com with My Fantasy Podcast. Got a big NBA show for you today. Dan, NBA, LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, who's the greatest of all time? It's just flooding my Facebook timeline, so we got to jump in that conversation now too. Since we do have two series, East and West, that are both tied 2-2, so it's going to be big fun on the podcast today talking NBA. I'm Brandon Reed. My co-host is Dan Shaw. How you feel about it?
I feel good. I know we've had a little war going on lately. You called me out on it yesterday. I feel bad, Brandon. But with LeBron James on my side, I don't see myself losing this war, this battle that we have going on. And we're going to bring in our good buddy RH, who also goes by Bo, if that makes any sense. And he's going to come on, and he's going to be like my teammate, and we're basically just going to terrorize you this entire show, I think. I think that's the plan.
Yeah, and I don't think Orlando will be much help to me, too. We'll try to slide him in here because he picked the Cavs in 4, so he was insanely wrong. So I'm not going to have much help here, but don't let Bo gas you up, man. He's making just outrageous, bet claims with me. I mean, for outrageous money. I mean, I think he was sitting at the bar a little bit too long last night, but we're going to slide him in here to talk NBA too. So we do have two series, much to my surprise. Both of them are tied at 2-2 with Game 5 going on in Boston tonight. So a lot's going to change in just a few hours, but we're going to talk about it anyway and how we got to this point and break it all down. So we'll bring Bo and Orlando in here in just a second to continue this conversation. But I got to be honest with you, Dan. I'm kind of shocked. I'm kind of shocked that Cleveland did come back and tie it up, and I'm probably even more shocked that Houston stole a game from Golden State last night at Golden State to tie that series 2-2.
Yeah, I'm more surprised, obviously, with the Rockets beating the Warriors last night. I didn't think they were going to be able to win away from home, and the fact that they lost Game 1, obviously they lost home court. So to be able to steal that back, that's huge for Houston. And I think I had the Warriors to win in 6. I think it'll probably still be Warriors to win in 6. They're clearly the better team. I know. You can point to last night and say how Houston's kind of toughened up and punched Golden State in the mouth, but I don't see it still. I mean, Brandon, you talked about this eye test with Boston. I still have the eye test with Golden State, and I just don't see anybody stopping them. I mean, I think it's clear whoever comes out of the West, if say Houston pulled a miracle, I still think they would be favored over either of these East teams. And you know how high I've been on Cleveland these playoffs, so I think that kind of says West versus East is still prevalent in the NBA.
Yeah, there's no question. I don't think really anyone is questioning that. I mean, only some LeBron fanatics out there who are just like, he's going to put the team on his back and we're going to have, he's going to, do it for the city, for the land again. I'm not buying that. Whoever is coming out of the West is winning this NBA title. That's about the only thing I've been sure about through this whole process. We talk about it kind of started, I guess, with I picked Cleveland losing in the first round to Indiana, and it was that close. Then I talked boisterously about the Toronto series, thought that would be the series that Cleveland would get bit. It wasn't. That was my mistake. Okay, I'll go ahead and own that. Dwayne Casey got fired because of it, so that was just a horrible pick. I misjudged that whole team and Dwayne Casey, but they got swept and he got fired. And then so I'm going to keep rolling with that LeBron to lose thing. I did not see them throughout any point in this season thinking that they're the best team out East and deserve to be in the finals again. Although I do root for LeBron. It's nothing personal. He is putting the team on his back, but I don't like this chemistry of this team. So I was kind of surprised that it is tied up. But so before we talk to the guys, really just seems like this series, the Boston Cleveland series, is just going to come down to home court. It appears that way anyway. Both teams are playing drastically different from home to road.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote that piece on the Cleveland winning game too. Kind of did a recap, obviously touching on LeBron passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. He's breaking records left and right. So, but in that piece, I mentioned Boston's 1-6 record away from home. You mentioned Cleveland's record, which is 3-4. But I believe they're going to end up getting to 500. If anybody's going to steal a road win in this series, it's going to be Cleveland, because they have LeBron James, and he has that ability, if a game is close in the fourth quarter, to, like you just said, put his team on his back and get it done. We saw it with the 3-game winners already in these playoffs. So if any team is going to do it, it's going to be Cleveland. But Boston right now has the luxury where they still have that home court. So I understand why you're still on the Boston bandwagon, but I see Cleveland being able to pull out one game away from Quicken Loans Arena in this series.
It's quite possible. But the way I look at it with that record, Dan, is that Cleveland's actually 1-4 on the road this postseason. I don't count that Toronto series. That Toronto series was garbage. Not even counting that.
Well, it happened. Yeah. So it does count,
so.
Brandon. I hate to break that to you. It does.
So we'll see what happens. But I'd like to talk to Antone Bite Your Ass a little bit and reference him back. We talked about him last time we did the mailbag segment, because he was talking about J.R. Smith about to go off. Well, I don't know if you really call 20 points in 59 minutes off 6 of 10 3-point shooting going off, but he has played a little bit more of a factor since we talked about that last, right?
Yeah, I mean, JR, he's going to hit his shots occasionally. I mean, he might hit a couple in a row and get a little hot streak going. I have more confidence with him at home than I do on the road. But I mean, you've seen, Cleveland have other players step up. Tristan Thompson, double doubles, if he's able to be effective offensively down low, whether it's just grabbing offensive rebounds and just putbacks. But if he's able to score for Cleveland in double digits and also get you double-digit rebounds, that vastly helps LeBron's chances of winning the game because he hasn't gotten a whole lot of consistent help all season, even in these playoffs. So it's nice to see that back-to-back 14-point games by Kyle Korver. So if he's able to play and shoot from downtown, it's only going to help Cleveland's chances. But they have to do it in Boston.
I think the whole Cleveland squad just plays a little bit better when they're at home. You mentioned Tristan Thompson. He's been playing great defense on Al Horford, really probably the sole reason he's in the game because he's not going to provide too much for you offensively. He's going to grab some boards and play defense on Al Horford. But I'm blaming – I don't want to necessarily say blaming Brad Stevens a little bit there, but I'm not really sure they're putting Al Horford in the best situations to really score in the low post and in enough situations to score in the low post. So I think he can do damage, but it's just not been a focal point of the Celtics, especially the last two games. So, but our man, RH, or as Dan said, he goes by Bo. Figure that one out. But I call him Bo. His mama named him Bo. I'm gonna call him Bo. What's up?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm good. About to be $7,000 richer. That could buy me a lot.
I got the money. Let's go.
So, first of all, you're insane, okay? I would never bet that amount of money on a series that I said is going to go 7 games off the top. So, right there, I think it's going to be a close series, right? So, you're insane, but I'm glad you recovered from your trips, late trip, all-day trip from the bar yesterday because...
I was at a bar yesterday, yes.
Okay, there you go. So, I don't know, we're just kind of breaking this down. Tonight is a pivotal game. If it's going to come down to home court, I'm fine with that because Boston has that home court. So I would just kind of like to get from you on this Boston-Cleveland series why you're so confident that Cleveland will steal a game in Boston and will win this series.
The eye test?
Okay, we'll get to that.
Seriously, though, the first game, like I said, what we communicated on Facebook, there's no chance that Cleveland was going to win that game. The second game, they were up by 15 and lost interest in playing defense, and Marcus Smart went out of his mind. He's not that good a shooter. And this third game where they won by 9 or 10, I forget, Kevin Love was out of the game most of the third and fourth quarter because of 5 fouls. So they could have dominated even more, but they didn't have the opportunity with Kevin Love. So coming back home, I think the first quarter is going to be just amazing for Boston, but it's LeBron on the low post doing what he does with the dribble, looking, seeing who's open, and Brad Stevens doesn't play defense.
At home, he does, because Cleveland is averaging 88 points in the series in Boston. So
2 games.
Well, that's the series. I mean, they only need to win 4, so we're halfway home.
What was Boston averaging at Cleveland?
94.
94.
Yeah.
And they average generally 101 points a game.
At home court, you're right. Home court has a lot to do with that. But, 94 is a lot more respectable than 88. It all comes down to tonight. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little bit scared with my prediction, because they do have that bad man, the baddest man on the planet, LeBron James, and he has looked unstoppable pretty much this whole playoffs run, but against Boston as well. You're just going to have to avoid the hot shooting streaks from Kevin Love and Kyle Korver and maybe J.R. Smith, who knows, but they're knocking down shots at home.
You're looking at it the wrong way. Boston has to have Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, the other rookie, I'm sorry, I forget his name right now, and Rozier.
Jason Tatum.
All to have a great shooting night. And all LeBron needs is Kevin Love or J.R. Smith or Kyle Korver to have a decent shooting game.
Well, but you're also forgetting Marcus Morris and Al Horford, who are both.
Marcus Morris has given up 112 points to LeBron. Tell me how good he is.
Oh, he shouldn't be guarding LeBron, honestly, but I'm talking about shooting. Both him and Al Horford can step out and hit threes, and at home that's going to get a little bit easier.
No, they're playing Al Horford perfectly, because they know. Oh, my goodness, sorry. They're playing Al Horford perfectly with Kevin Love, taking him outside and playing defense on him, because Al Horford is about as slow as basketball forward can be. I can cross him over in a phone booth. He has no defensive ability whatsoever, and he can shoot an outside jumper every now and then, but he's never been, he's been an all-star, but he's never been the great player that everybody makes him out to be. When you take him out on defense, or I should say when you go at him on defense, it severely limits his offensive game, and that's been proven in games 3 and 4. So Al Horford's not the key factor. The key factor, in my opinion, is Marcus Smart. If he goes on that shooting torrent that he did in game 2, or if I'll give you Rozier. I'll give you Rozier, of course, and Marcus Smart. If he starts hitting the threes and they're at home, then you know what? Yeah, you're not going to stop it. You give him you clap and you go, great shot, and you move on. But I don't see that happening.
But I don't think this is an anomaly from especially Terry Rozier, because as soon as Kyrie went down in the regular season, Terry Rozier's been doing that. Terry Rozier had multiple 30-point scoring games, just beast fantasy games. So he's completely capable of that.
You know what? What was it? Who was it? Was it Wall or somebody said who's Terry Rozier?
Oh, it was Eric Bledsoe. Well, Eric Bledsoe got his ass whooped by Terry Rozier too.
And that's probably not a good thing to do. But I think the Cavs know who Terry Rozier is, and George Hill has been playing some decent defense on him, and he hit some shots last game, which was good for him. But they're all contested shots. The uncontested shots is what Cleveland got away from in game 2. The wide open threes were raining down from Boston for that comeback from the 15-point lead or 15-point deficit. So the last 2 games, except for the third quarter last game, the Cavs have been dedicated on defense, and that's the difference in the series.
Well, I think it has a little something to do with home too. I still think Boston is the better team, but a lot of guys for Cleveland are stepping up. But I still think, number one, if you want to compare coaches, LeBron is the coach of that team. Tyronn Lue is a joke. Brad Stevens is a legit coach.
Yeah, Tyronn Lue's substitutions just baffled me. Doing some of the time, so I don't know about that. But yeah, Brad Stevens, they got a definite check when it comes to coaching, but LeBron is the coach on the floor. So what do you know? You're playing the game. So
well, and what scares me?
How many times can you switch? And I don't know. Go ahead.
I think the youth of Boston is what may ultimately kill them, even in this series. If they don't get past, even if they do get past Cleveland, they're going to get stomped by Golden State or even Houston. I'm not even really going to entertain the thought of anyone not named Golden State making it to the finals or winning the championship. But even if it is Houston, Boston would get stomped by them, swept. But there's still something to Boston being 9-0 at home now. I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to have to step up for Cleveland, but LeBron James.
Who was Boston played? They were the 2 seed, so they played the 76ers and Milwaukee. Milwaukee can't shoot an outside shot to save their lives. And you talk about youth, the 76ers are all about youth too. And if it weren't for a couple of misplays by the point guard of the 76ers, they would have probably won that series. So I got no faith in the Celtics. Next year, I will have more faith in the Celtics.
Well, yeah, with Kyrie and Gordon Hayward coming back, they're going to be
I wrote an article about
talented.
Kyrie. He's done. He's the demise of Kyrie is already written. So.
Okay, we kind of agree there then, because I'm not a Kyrie fan at all. Really, I think he's a lot more. Carmelo
I think they're a better
Anthony.
Team now without him, because Rozier actually doesn't take command and
it's a hard case.
He needs to shoot the ball.
It's a hard case to make if this team does make the NBA Finals without you. But going back to that home court thing, and just the record of Boston, Boston hasn't lost 3 games in a row, but twice all year, and that was way back in February.
What's the if you want to go regular season, the Cavs have the regular season record over Boston, 3-1.
2-1, 3-1.
2-1. Okay, 2-1, 3-1. Yeah, but you're right. They only played 3 times, 2-1. So whatever. We can't go regular season when, like I said, game 1 was Boston and the kids. I call them kids because I'm old, but they were shooting out of their minds. The second game, again, Marcus Smart shooting out of his mind, Terry Rozier shooting out of his mind, Marcus Morris yelling at Tristan Thompson on the ground. I mean, it was just all emotion, and you can only play on emotion for so long. Talent comes through eventually in the end. That's why I call this a 6-game series, unlike you said 5 in Boston. Sorry.
No. Look at what's written down on paper. You
said 5.
No, I said 7-game series. I said Boston in 7.
So all those Facebook posts were.
He doesn't count those. He doesn't count those. When he says it multiple times, it doesn't count. It's only when he puts it on paper. You got to get that.
That was my official prediction. Yeah. My feelings and reactions change per game, but when I looked and analyzed the series, I had to put something to paper and make an official prediction. I said Boston in 7. It's written down. It's on my fantasy.
So before the games are played, you actually put thought into the series.
Yeah.
Before the games were played, you put thought into. But now that the games are being played, you're not putting any thought into it whatsoever.
It's a toss-up. You had the hottest player, the baddest man on the planet, going against the hottest team at the time with home court advantage. It was a toss-up, man. It was going 7. But a couple of quick notes and stats that I saw that I thought were pretty interesting is that the last time that LeBron was down 0-2 in a series was against, I don't know, that could easily change this year, but something to do with that luck of the Irish. I don't know. That's an amazing stat. You go up 2-0, you never lost in franchise history, and that franchise has been through a lot. But let's wrap this series up. The spread tonight, the game tonight is the big one. If Cleveland steals it, all bets are off, and I'm going to say I'm wrong because I think Cleveland can win 2 of the next 3 for sure. But the spread is 1 tonight. I'm going to take the home team. Like I said, Boston has only lost 3 games in a row twice all year, and that hadn't happened in 3 months. But you and Dan, well, Dan's comment on here too. If Boston wins tonight, I'm done with this conversation with you guys because y'all both picked Cleveland in 6. So your predictions are null and void from that point out. So I don't want to hear nothing else if Boston wins tonight.
No. That's not how it works. I mean, I still think the Cavs can win, and I'm going to be in Cleveland for Game 6, so I can't wait for that. But even if it went to a Game 7, I think that might even favor LeBron more because we talked about it, the inexperience of Boston. They're not going to be able to handle the pressures of a Game 7, and LeBron's just going to do his thing and completely take over that game, do whatever he can do to get to his eighth finals in a row. So if anything, if the Cavs lose tonight, they're in better shape than if they win.
No, not according to your predictions, both you and Bo. So I just want to hear you're wrong. What is going to make
let me
you
put
be
a different
wrong?
one on Facebook, and I'll
wrong. It's going to make you wrong. Both.
Hey,
of you
listen,
guys.
you want a prediction? I got a prediction for tonight. 7 seconds left. LeBron hits a fall-away jumper to win the game. How's that?
I've seen it before. It could very well happen.
It's not hard to imagine in the head, is it?
No, but that doesn't pass the smell test or the eye test with me tonight.
Oh, now we're to smell.
So let me ask you,
Brando.
we're going to jump right back into it. I'm so glad actually Houston won that game last night because we can talk about the eye test I've been telling you guys. So I may end up ultimately being wrong, but like I said with Boston, I just feel like they were the better team with the eye test to me. Now, same thing with Golden State, Houston. I don't care what the series is. I don't care if Houston is up 3-2, honestly. Golden State's the much better team. They're the best team in the NBA by far. They're going to win this series. That's the eye test. That's what I'm telling you. So I don't care that it's 2-2. I hope you guys agree. I don't remember your predictions, though. I know.
I got Houston in 7.
Yeah, you had Houston in 7. Both Dan and I had Golden State in 6. So me personally, I don't think that Houston is even going to play within double digits the rest of the series. I think Golden State is about to mollywop them 2 straight games and end this thing. They barely won last night, Houston, that is. And Golden State scored their lowest output. They haven't hit 100, but only one time in the past month and a half. That was against San Antonio, and one of that only lost their opening round. They came.
Don't you think that's a detriment to Golden State losing at home and having one of the worst or the worst quarter they've ever had as a team?
Not at all.
That's more of a detriment
because that'll happen 1 out of every 800 quarters with them. Not at all. I am so confident in them. I really don't think Houston's winning another game.
Our last broadcast, I talked about how Houston could beat Golden State, and I said you got to take Green outside of the paint. You got to go at Stephen Curry, and you got to make sure that Durant isn't shooting those elbow jumpers. And in the first game, they let Durant just hit they let him inside on the elbow jumpers just all day long, and it was a blowout. Second game they won. They stayed a little harder. Durant still had a good game, and Stephen had a decent, if not poorish game. The third game, they went off and they started hitting jumpers. And in this game, they just ran out of gas. Steve Kerr said, "We ran out of gas." How are you a championship team and run out of gas? LeBron played all 82 games by 40 and he didn't run out of gas.
That's how they run out of gas. If you get beat by 41,
if you're up by 40, you're not playing in the fourth quarter.
If you get beat by 41 in a series, you're outmatched. Bottom line, you should never get beat by 40 in any kind of playoff series, especially in a Western Conference Finals.
Let's split it up: $3,500 on the Rockets and $3,500 on the Cavs.
I'm not putting any money on that Boston Cleveland series. No.
Hey, Cavron.
I'm not going to bet against LeBron. I just made my prediction, Boston in 7. And it's more, I'll tell you, can I just be honest to you and the My Fantasy Podcast peeps at home? It's more of my frustration with the Cleveland Cavs organization. We've probably even talked about this before. I am so frustrated and just that they tried to think that this was a championship contending roster. And I like a lot of the pieces. George Hill's not bad. I think Larry Nance is a great player. Jeff Green, former Grizzly. Yes. But the way it's constructed, it doesn't make any sense. I think it's a garbage roster with some pieces. But that's just, I just don't think it is a roster worthy of making a deep playoff run, and they've gone deeper than I thought they would. It's not a knock against LeBron, but what he's doing is super amazing. And
that's all you need for a deep playoff run is LeBron. I mean, I agree. I don't like the Cavs roster. I mean, this is probably the weakest that he's had in Cleveland. I mean, you take away Kyrie. We don't like Kyrie. I agree with you guys, but he still added a lot to that team with LeBron by his side.
A lot of people claim that he won the championship 2 years ago by hitting a couple of big shots. So,
so I agree with you. But in the East, all you need for a deep playoff run is LeBron. You could put him on any of these playoff teams, and they would all be in this same position. Playing in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, even if it was the Miami Heat again, I mean, they would be in the Eastern Conference Finals.
You could put him on Orlando and they'd be in the Eastern Conference Finals. He's just that good.
Hard to disagree with you guys there because that's the difference. I commented the other night that after watching the Golden State and Houston series, it's like, what is the East doing? Honestly, this Boston-Cleveland series is so sloppy. You got LeBron taking over and pretty much doing what he wants to do. But other than that, it's sloppy basketball when you watch the ball movement and the shooting that's going on in the West with Golden State, Houston. So I don't think there's any way that the East is win this championship. So you guys are right. I submit to that opinion that the East is so weak, one man can just walk all the way through it, and he just might. Tonight's a big game though. So ultimately, I guess you're going to disagree with Dan and I, Bo, because you got Houston winning it. So I guess you're all over that train right now.
It was a 50-50 pick in my head. I was just like, okay, the Houston had the home field, or has the home court back. And when they first started, of course, they had the home court. So I was just like, I literally flipped a coin in my head and said, all right, Houston, just because Chris Paul wants it more than I think Golden State does, because Golden State already has the championships in their pocket. I don't think they have that same drive like they did last year. Like Kevin Durant last year in the NBA championship was amazing. He was unstoppable. There was no way Cleveland was beaten. There was no way the 88 Lakers were beating that team. I don't care. But this year, I think after losing several times several playoff games, and then losing last night at home, I don't think they have the drive or the wherewithal to keep winning. So that's why I picked Houston. I'm probably wrong. Kevin Durant could just decide that he's going to become Kevin Durant of last year's finals. But right now, I'm still Chris Paul, and actually Capella had a really great game last night too. So I'll take them right now.
He's a beast. So this is very interesting. Three-way difference of opinion here. So Bo has Houston and Cleveland in the finals. Dan is going to have Golden State and Cleveland in the finals, and I am going to say Golden State, Boston in the finals. So,
so I'm correct. I am the correct one of the bunch, and that's okay. I'm used to that kind of stuff. But just to touch on the Rockets Golden State series, I mean, last night PJ Tucker went off. I mean, he dominated. He had 16 rebounds. When is he going to do that again? Never. So
Game 5.
Yeah, and they won by 3.
He won't even have 5 rebounds, let alone 16. So I mean, he was a force down low last night. That's never going to happen again. And
it still came down to the last possession of the game.
I don't even think Bo knows my hatred of the Warriors. Like I hate the Warriors. I hate Steph Curry. He's a terrible basketball player.
The shimmy at the third quarter after hitting them. Oh, I almost lost it. I almost threw a shoe at my TV. It was again. Yeah.
I've learned over my time of hating them so much that I mean they're
really good,
and they're going to win.
Because they pass the eye test.
Yeah, that's one. Yeah, so but
Jeez.
I mean, you say that for Golden State, but then you turn around and say it for Boston, completely wiping out your eyes there. So I don't know. I don't know what to do with that.
Hey, have I lost yet? Well, as far as I know, Boston's still in this thing. You know, it's tied 2-2, and they got a home.
You've lost like
tonight.
3 other series. You had the
every time Cleveland played.
You had the Thunder. You had the Toronto.
Who had the guts to pick Indiana over Cleveland in the first round?
You can call it guts or, I mean, I won't say stupidity or anything.
It wasn't stupidity because it went to 7 games.
Close. That's why I said I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't.
It wasn't even close. If it wasn't for a 25-foot buzzer beater by LeBron, who knows?
That was a great shot. That's what I see tonight. That's what I see him doing tonight. Not a buzzer beater, maybe, but the last shot to win the game.
We'll see, but that's our NBA talk.
$3,500.
3-way difference of opinion on who's going to make the finals this year. That's how much parity it is, apparently, which I didn't know, but apparently it is. So, I see a new deck in my future if Bo's willing to bet against Golden State. And you're gonna fund some.
No, you know what? If Golden State goes and wins against Houston, all bets are off. I already slacked. About who I thought, Houston and Cleveland, who would win. I picked Cleveland, but if Golden State wins the series and it is Cleveland, all bets are off. I'll take Golden State just because, 4 Hall of Famers on one team is like, again, 88 Lakers. Who's going to beat them?
They pass the eye test. That's the bottom line. The eye test
and the smell test.
Yeah, I'll alert you guys to some more senses as they come about, and I make up new stuff. Well, that's it. That's NBA talk for this podcast. Thanks for joining us, Bo. Though, for real, love you, man. I
love you too.
Keep the checkbook open. That's all I can say. Keep the checkbook open.
500.
Both ways.
All right,
for Bo Adams and my co-host Dan Chalk, I'm Brandon Reed. Until next podcast, peeps. Later. Peace.